Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. We really appreciate you joining us again. For those who saw episode 1, I made a promise, or Liam and I made a promise, that we would come together and host a brand new podcast aiming to talk to Wales, talk about technical transformation in Wales and what we're seeing and sort of what businesses are doing to adapt. So here we are. Silicon Valleys. Hope you like the name. Picture this. Welsh company, Welsh institution, founded over 1,000 years ago. Most of its history, they've done one thing, and that's make coins that we find in our pocket. Except cash is disappearing. So what do? If you're the Royal Mint, you reinvent yourself. Precious metals, recovered gold from electronic waste. A consumer business is born. And underneath all of that, a serious modern technology estate driving the whole transformation. Today, we're joined by a man that is leading that tech transformation, Richard Hobbs, the CIO at the Royal Mint. Rich, welcome to the show. We're really thrilled to have you.
Great to be here.
Thank you. I was doing my research. I found that you've got a few titles at the Mint over the years, and the remit...
Some unpublishable.
And the remit is quite broad. But for today, we really want to sort of zero in on the technology transformation of your role and what you do. Give us a sense of your role through that lens, and what does leading tech change look like at the Royal Mint?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's great to be able to come and talk about the Royal Mint and what technology does at the Royal Mint. So where do we start? So I think the reality for us is, first of all, people don't think of the Royal Mint as a technology organisation, but we're actually 60 strong as a team, which makes up about 10% of the colleagues at the Royal Mint. As you've called out, we're a diverse portfolio of businesses now, and we've got everything from our jewellery brand all the way through an e-waste business, where we take precious metals and products out of computers and old electronic waste and convert them into things that people want to put them back into the value stream. We've got a precious metals investment business, and we've also got our commercial business where we work with numismatists, coin collectors, and collectors of memorabilia, and we sell that stuff. And then finally, which is the license to do all of the fun things that we do, we also still make currency coins for the UK. So we still are producing coins for everyday use. But as you can imagine, the technology that underlies those things is diverse in itself.
I was going to ask about that, actually. Yeah. So you said you have a team of 60 people. What does that look like then? How do you maintain all of those individual bits of technology in the different bits of the business with 60 people managing, was it like 5 or 6 different businesses?
So we're into our second technology strategy in my tenure, and actually in the 1100-year tenure of the Royal Mint, it's only ever the second technology strategy. The first strategy, which we started in 2000, was really, it felt quite startup-y. It was how do we take something that isn't what we want to look like in the future and create that. Yeah. Great ideas from the business came in, and due to maybe a lack of modern thinking, they were developed in a way that IT wanted to develop them. And then delivered to the business at a time when IT wanted to deliver it to the business. And it worked. Don't get me wrong. They were successful way before I arrived. I'm certainly not the silver bullet. But there were definitely a view that it was time to change. My background is digital transformations and going into organizations, whether startups or established, and making change. So it was a great opportunity for me. And we did that through a number of key things. The first thing we said was, let's rebuild our relationships with our third parties. Mm-hmm. So how do we become the customer again? So how do we deliver the agenda of what we want to do and change? And then secondly, it was, right, what's the capability of the people that we need to get to where we are? And we really recognized that we had to shift our capability thinking. And that came in a number of shapes. It was develop the people that we've got. Mm-hmm. So there are some really good guys in the team that were there when I joined, and their jobs have morphed into different things, and then recruit heavily. So we went from 20 to essentially where we are now, which is 60 over the space of about 2 or 3 years. And we had to realize that a modern technology function needed different things. We needed a cybersecurity team. So we went out and we built a cybersecurity team. We wanted to own the e-commerce journey and the way we spoke to our customers digitally. So we brought development in-house and we built a development team. We knew that we had to make change. So rather than relying on the business to help us make change, we built a change function. So we brought business analysts in, we brought project managers in, we've got a head of PMO. We own that roadmap now. So we own the technology roadmap. So that was almost the first cycle, the first 5 years of our technology cycle. We're now in year 2 of our second cycle. And that is all about how do we become the growth engine for the organization. Yeah. So we moved from being prohibitively slow to being an enabler of the digital strategy to being a growth engine within the business. And it's taken its time. But really what we ask of the business, which they're very receptive to, is involve us really, really early. Don't involve us when you've got the business, the sign off, and you've got the approach. Come to us really at the start when you're just thinking about stuff. Sit with our clever guys. We'll talk to you and we'll tell you whether it's a big issue or a small issue, whether it's quick or slow or what the complexities are. So that when you go in and talk to the board and the exec, you have a view of what it's going to take. We're much more a commercial entity now than we've ever been before.
Brilliant. It's interesting you say that. Did you get any pushback or was there any hesitancy early on when IT was sort of not taking control, but making change? Was there ever a, don't fix what's not broken sort of strategy at all?
Well, diversification and change is what is going to keep them into life. You don't have an 1,100-year organization and stay the same. So they know that we go through waves of change. This change in the last 10 years tends to be technological change. But societal change has had a big impact with the removal of coins. So they've been very, very welcoming to ideas. They haven't agreed to them all, as you can imagine, and technology is expensive and getting more expensive. So we've had to have really, really strong business cases for them. But on the whole, the board and the CEO have been very supportive of what we've wanted to do.
Yeah, I was going to ask, actually, you alluded a little bit to the scale of the business there. And I think for myself, having worked in startups for years and small companies, and also having worked a little bit in government projects and things like that, there's a really interesting juxtaposition here between building a product which very few people are going to use compared to building something for the masses, for the population. And can you talk a little bit about that scale, about what is the scale of the work from the public perspective and the tech perspective?
So the currency coin business, so the coins in your pocket, was huge. And it remains a really big part of the business. We've seen a slowdown in the usage and therefore a slowdown in how many coins we produce and leave the business. But the customers see a different view of the Royal Mint now. So if you think about their existing business, so if you think you are a coin collector or a numismatist, or an investor in precious metals, or someone who loves the jewelry business, from a website perspective, we sell about 50,000 products a month across precious metals and commemorative. And we average about 12 million page views per month. So from a scale perspective, we're big. And we've got an infrastructure, our website platform, Optimizely, is big enough to cope and manage that. But we don't sit on our laurels. We recognized 18 months, 2 years ago, that we knew that volume was going to increase. We were pushing precious metals, our precious metals invest business, and that's got quite a different model to commemorative coin, a traditional e-commerce business. So if you think the traditional coin collector business, so we launch 30 products a year, so 30 new designs or new themes. we market them or they see it online. They come to our website, they go through our e-commerce journey, and they purchase the coin.
Yeah.
Your precious metals invest customer will be very, very focused on a specific price. So what does the gold price look like? And our website updates gold price every 8 seconds, so you get a live price. And they will say, right, well, actually, I've got this amount of money I want to invest. How do I do that? But they might do it over time. So we see constant repeat customers coming back in, and we're not quite at spot price, spot trading level, but customers will come in and over the space of a week might trade 3 or 4 times, buy and sell at both ends.
Do you think that's where you're heading, the spot trading, or not?
We'd like to get to a point where we can see trades more effectively.
Sure.
But I don't think spot trading is somewhere where in our immediate future. I think, and particularly, I don't think our website would be the best place for that. There are better places and better platforms to support that. That doesn't mean we won't go and partner with someone. We've already got products that sit on the stock market through ETFs, etc. So we already do those kind of financial service products. But at the moment, we're an investment business.
Yeah.
You mentioned cybersecurity. You mentioned website performance there. So in my world, in my recruitment world, I hear ERP, CRM change all the time. So I think, I'm not sure if this is true, so you're going to have to quote me on this. But did the Mint do a greenfield Microsoft Dynamics 365 project or produce the MVP in about 15 weeks?
Yeah.
Yes. How was that done? Because I find that really interesting. One, because it's success, hopefully success.
Yeah.
Secondly, what was or still is a government-backed organisation to get change through that quickly. What's the magic cure?
So we currently have a Microsoft AX ERP. So it's a 2012 version, which we updated in 14. So it's a relatively old ERP. We're in the process. We're in the throes of replacing the whole of the Royal Mint on D365.
Yeah.
So we're mid-project on that with a go live in the autumn. So that's weighing heavily on my mind. But we when the precious metals recovery business, so the e-waste business, first started, we had 2 options. We either rewrite a part of AX to accommodate a business which is the direct reverse of most business. So if you think of and we're a manufacturing function. So if you think of normal manufacturers, you get multiple raw materials. They come through your gate and slowly they whittle down to a single product that goes out of the door. Yeah. When you're talking about e-waste, you get one product come in the door, which slowly whittles down to multiple products that then you sell out. So the question was, if we build it in AX, which essentially is an outdated system, how complex is it going to be? How much impact is it going to have on the rest of the business? And is there an appetite to spend on a system that we know ultimately we're going to replace?
Yeah.
So we said no. So from a technology strategy perspective, the right answer was to move to a much more dynamic, pardon the pun, but modern ERP system that we could easily manage and move through. We were put under quite a lot of pressure to build a system that was ready for a go live. The business was moving so quickly, or the build of the business. And remember that the e-waste business is all brand new manufacturing technology as well. So globally, the first time this has ever been done.
Yeah.
So we were building an ERP at the same time that they were actually building the processes in the factory.
Yeah.
So we benefited a little bit from complete greenfield. So no data to migrate, no legacy systems to work through, no closure processes. So we got away with murder, if I'm being honest. So it was quite an easy stand-up for us to do. We still had to build the processes. It's not the easiest thing to do. And we made quite a lot of changes through that process to get there. We worked with a great partner, Hitachi Solutions, who were really on board about working with us. And we stood a vanilla D365 instant up and ready to go within 15 weeks. The business took a little bit longer to then go live, and we are in the throes of making more changes as that business has developed through the last year or so. But it was a great example of how quick, for the executive team as well, for how quickly you can stand up modern technology and how quickly a technology can reflect your business processes. It has, though, given them quite a false sense of how easy to stand up D365 is. So now when we're looking at replacing our legacy AX system, which was 85% bespoke code, so lots of variant processes and aging processes and different things, that's a different scale completely, and we're seeing that at the moment.
And I guess then from, of course, right, as a 1,000-year-old business, there are lots of opportunities for digital transformation and to bring the company into the future. Like one of the ones we haven't really spoken about yet is AI, right? I mean, like areas of technology application which could be revolutionary and have lots of impact for the Mint. I guess, what is your take on AI, or how are you currently using AI? Because from the perspective of, you are an organization that is almost too big to fail, right? And you have to be a little bit risk averse in terms of any new technology that you adapt. So what's your take on that? Like, how do you adopt something like AI that's evolving so quickly?
Yeah, too big to fail is maybe... I think nobody wants it to happen on their shift, which is a little bit more nuanced. You know what I mean? 1,100 years, the last thing you want to do is pause it up on your shift. While we make a lot of the money, we don't spend a lot of the money. So we are very, very commercially minded, to the point where I think perhaps I felt like we missed the boat on that first AI run. I look back now with reflection, and I tried to tell the exec that actually I saw it coming, and that I was prudent on purpose. But I think we're lucky that we weren't in that first wave of spend a lot and not see a lot come back from an AI return perspective. We're now in a position where we use AI across the organization, but we tend to use it at an intervention level. So lots of small pieces of AI that support the organization. And we're very, very early in our journey. So one of the things that we're setting up, we've got an AI strategy, which I lead. Essentially, it's about going out and harvesting use cases across the organization. So when you're in a business which has got, we've got chemists, we've got jewelers, we've got jewelry designers, we've got coin designers, we've got marketeers, we've got sales guys, we've got forklift drivers, we've got tool makers, we've got a huge array. There's a great number of opportunities, most of which I know nothing about. As in most of it, I could go into an area and say, AI is great for that. We need the customers, which we call the other parts of the business, come to us and say, this is a great AI opportunity. So we're building the process, and we'll roll it out within the next 3 or 4 months of how we harvest those use cases. I've got a bit of a Dragon's Den budget that I can give for proof of concepts, etc. But one of the, from a pure technology perspective, our view is the best way for us to spend money on AI in the short to medium term is use AI that is being created specifically for our systems. So
that makes sense.
For D365, we won't go live until the autumn, but we will then use Copilot in D365 because it's such a powerful tool, particularly for areas like finance. So instead of these huge, massive suites of reporting, giving the CFO the capability to ask it a question and get a specific answer back is super powerful for us. Optimizely, we've got multiple layered DXP platform. So we have experimentation built into our DXP. We have a data platform which stores live events, and then we can reflect that in customer journeys. So we're going to use their Opal tool within our Optimizely platform to better customer journeys. My view is that before we go out and start doing wholesale AI modeling builds, is to use the stuff that people have spent a lot of time and money investing and using already.
I was going to ask that. So I completely agree with you that early on, some people were probably too quick to adopt AI, and maybe that was from a lot of the positive vibes, I guess you could say, coming from the AI companies of, you don't need to employ so many people anymore, or you do this, save some money. And definitely a lot of people got burnt by that. Companies who laid off 30% of their company, and then realized actually we really needed those people. They gave us more than AI.
Try asking the customer, isn't it?
Yeah. So completely agree with that. And then I was going to say, the follow-up then was you were speaking about using AI that's already been developed by someone else because it's been tested and it's been trusted. I think it's a smart thing to do. And I was going to ask you there, like, what is your stance on? There must be some kind of private, confidential data that you deal with, and I'm not going to get into what that is, right? But of course, right, the Mint has some of that kind of data. What's the stance on, like, how many do you run AI models internally or anything? Are you running them externally? Like, what's your take on that? Is there data that you're just unwilling to send outside of the business?
Yeah. There's data that we're unwilling to send from a commercial perspective. So we are very protective of our commercial position. There's also other things that we don't really want to share, which are things like designs.
Sure.
So we work with licensees, and they're not willing for us to share. And one of the great things about AI, I think, is within the design space. So one thing that we've said is that we'll never use AI to design our coins. We'll use it to help shape what that design might look like. But our experts, the amazing thing about our coins is that they're designed by humans.
Sure, yeah.
But we will use them to like shape mood boards and stuff like that as we get through there. But we are commercially sensitive, like every other organization.
Of course.
There's some really cool stuff within the manufacturing space that I would really like to do with AI. Things like visual quality. So if you think our factory is running millions of coins through our conveyors and they have to be at the highest of quality. If I told you that the way that coins are graded across the whole of the global industry is by eye, and one person grading it will potentially give a different score to another coin graded on quality, then you would say that is a perfect opportunity for AI that can just fire through millions and millions of images and really grade them and ratify what that looks like. That is something that I think we would like to do. In order to do that, you need to get data from lots of different places. That is something we would probably look to do externally. But we'll do a proof of concept internally first, and we'll do all of that stuff. So I'm not particularly afraid of sharing data. There are loads of guidelines and guardrails that protect you. The hardest thing is convincing people around the business when they've got their individual licenses on ChatGPT and stuff like that. They're the hardest ones to convince not to put stuff in.
Of course.
But I think that the key thing for AI, I try to explain to people, is it's not like when the internet happened. It's not like this is a great tool, it's free, go away and use it. AI is really expensive. The data that you use in AI is really expensive. So let's try and manage it effectively. I've democratized AI tooling like ChatGPT and Claude. I've pretty much said, here are some safe, acceptable use policies, and here's some policies and kind of some hints and tips to use it. But I'm not going to come and ask you what you're using. I expect you to be grown up about it. One, because I don't think I can police it. And secondly, actually, there is a bit of that fool around and find out mentality that you want to build in an organization around AI. So there's different levels of how we use it. But I think we're very, very early in our journey. One of the key things I'd like to see is our developers use it more.
It's your world.
I've seen massive gains. We spoke about it right on the last podcast, and definitely I completely agree with you in terms of quality assurance and testing and all those kinds of things. Massive potential gains there. That it's not the most exciting task to repetitively have to measure something all the time, or and humans will make mistakes, right? AI is probably more predictable in that space. But actually, one of the things that we were speaking about in the last podcast as well is that it almost feels like now, since we have AI available to us, we're expected to do more. And we talk about like the 10x developer or the 100x person, whatever. And one of the things we started talking about was burnout. Like people end up feeling burnt out because they're like, well, do I have to do 100 times more now, or 10x more all the time? And what's your take on that? Is that something that you're seeing at all, or as you said, are you still early in this kind of adoption phase? And
with our developers, pretty early. Nick Hill, my practice lead, is targeted with some benefits over the next 6 to 12 months. None of them are headcount related. These are all about actually, and one of the things we think is if we can increase the quality of QA, if that makes sense. So if we can ship better code to the website, we can get faster at doing it. We can increase the number of deployments that we do, and we can have fewer hotfixes and fewer, hiding things behind feature flags and all of the things that we've always become accustomed to. So I've said to Nick and the team, look, let's just get really, really good at what we do. Let's get a bit quicker at what we do, and then add the value in that way. The business is not calling out to say, I want twice as much work with half as many people. That's certainly not the direction that or the push that we're having with AI. I think there are areas where we'll see natural reductions in headcount, and junior devs is probably one of those areas. But we'll only see them moving into seniors, and they become the guardians of product rather than the guardians of code, and we see them being much more engaged in the business. We have probably a launch a week of a new product. We build all the pages, we design all of that stuff. Then devs become far more involved in the decision-making element of it rather than being stuck in the dark corner with your headphones on the black screen. They stop bashing out code and they start thinking about the code that they're bashing out.
Absolutely.
That's value add. 100% value add. So that's where we're shaping it. But it is a force multiplier. It is a force multiplier for me as an organization because I think that means I can ship more for less. And when the cost of technology everywhere else is going up, if I can reduce it in my grow area, so if I can not increase the size of my dev team, but increase the amount of work they're doing, that's a win for me. And then all of the heavy lifting, licensing costs that are going up, over 10, 15% a year, then I can manage that bit far more effectively than if I have to go out and challenge the business every time they want to do a little bit extra that I've got to go and recruit devs.
It's a really, really interesting point about devs getting closer to product as well. I think I'm seeing that a lot. I'm hearing that a lot. Do you see, maybe not at the Mint, in like friends or professional relationships, like are developers' roles changing though? Are they wearing more hats? So are they forced to do DevOps? Are they forced to look at security? Are they forced to look at product? Is it becoming more of a more in-depth role, do you think?
I think expectations are higher of them now. I absolutely, one of our fundamental principles is we build security in. We have a cyber team that are engaged with the development team. And because of our size and our scale, if we put the cyber team and the development team together, you wouldn't get 2 football teams. There's less than 20 of them. They talk a lot about building security into the code. So we have those expectations that they do that, and when it's not done, then it's fed back. We as an organization we go through multiple levels of penetration testing through our internal, external auditors and things because of who we are and what we do. So when they do a penetration test and vulnerabilities are identified in the website and stuff, my devs are responsible for that. Nick, my practice leads, gets given those audit findings to close off and stuff. Cybersecurity don't. So that expectation is that they make sure that we are secure. So I think they're not getting forced to do it. I think they're recognizing that expectations are increasing it. And my group of devs are great, and they're meeting those expectations. They're stepping up to it. But the job has definitely changed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gone are the days of the diva dev sitting in the corner and pushing out whatever code they want. That's definitely true.
Do you see that with clients and customers as well?
Yeah, 100%. And I was going to say as well, on that penetration testing point, that's something I've been playing around with a little bit myself, where we were speaking about, can we use AI and agents to do quality assurance tasks? I'm getting them now to do penetration testing as well. And that's not to say that it replaces a human actually looking at something and verifying something and signing it off. But, maybe you can only afford to do 3 or 4 penetration tests a year or 1 a year or something. But now I can run one every day. And it might cost me $10 every day to run one. Absolutely. But you better believe it'll look over my entire tech stack. It'll test everything, let's say almost as good as a human could do it, or in some areas even better. And to what we were saying again in the last podcast that we did, it's like, I do agree. I think from my perspective, I am seeing that developers are wearing more hats, but I think everybody's wearing more hats, to be honest. So
that's a good point.
Yeah, and we definitely see that. So when I first joined the Mint, and I think maybe in the other areas, places that I've worked, you'd have IT guys would be Swiss Army knives, right? They'd be a guy that he knew a little bit about the application, but he was a networks guy.
Sure.
So really did a couple of things. Then we went away from that a little bit and went down these very, very siloed approaches. You would become an Azure expert, and and all of these guys desperate to be architects and all of that. And now we're going back again. I think the reality is the tooling is enabling people to learn more and have more access to things.
Yeah.
There's a standardization of things now, and particularly when you talk about sort of traditional technology, sort of networks, for example. There's much more networks now happening in the cloud space than there are in standing up ladders and cabling switches. Those things have changed. So you have to take your skills and learn other things. So my one of the tasks that we've given the team is, right, you've got a primary role, but I'd like everybody in the function to have a secondary role. That doesn't mean, we ask them to do those other things, but get some interest in it. Go out and get some badges. We'll support some accreditations if you want to do something a little bit different.
Yeah.
But go and do it. It's only going to add value to us.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a really interesting segue to my next question. I referred to you before as a CIO, and you mentioned, obviously, there's lots of job titles you've had.
Yeah.
Even the press couldn't agree on a couple of them. So you've had IT director, technology director, interim CIO. I mentioned this in the last episode. I had a coffee with someone a couple of weeks ago who said that the role of the CTO will change a lot in the next couple of years. And I sort of asked for a bit more clarification. They said it'll be more business-led than technology-led because of tooling available. Do you agree? And if not, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree. So I am often challenged to be, and rightly so, to be a business leader first and a technology guy second. So that's the shape that I want to be in my role, and that's the shape that the Royal Mint want me to be. So they're saying, right, well, you should be sat at the table with the commercial leads, and you should be driving. If you're going to, Rich, if you want your function to be a growth engine, then you have to be business first and then technology second. So you're the business leader with the technology remit.
Yeah.
I don't think there is any route in which that isn't the future shape. So I said to you before we started recording, I don't come from a technology background. So I come from a program change, happened all the cool projects were in technology, and I went in that direction. And it's where the cool kids hang out.
Yeah.
And I went in that direction and therefore picked up all of the capabilities. But I'm way better at asking questions than answering them. So I just organize really clever people in the right space. But I spend most of my day speaking to partners, managing uphill, so managing the exec, working on budgets. Then I could be in any function. It doesn't need to be technology, but that's the route that that's the shape that the business and the industry is taking.
Yeah,
loads more tooling, loads more licensing. SaaS is a great tool, but all you end up doing is talking about licensing and top-ups and extensions, and so. Yeah, I think we're a commercial business. Why would we be any different to a marketing director or a sales director? Essentially, we are. We have a toolkit which we apply. That happens to be proper technology tooling, but also our people. They're just a part of the journey of moving things forward in a transformation shape, even more so.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're actually just a part of the program. We're not special. And one of the things we've made sure we do in the D365 program that we're on is. It's not a technology project. I lead it as the accountable exec, but only because we did the last one, and the biggest part of the tooling is technology. But my remit, my accountability is to deliver training, change, comms for the whole of the program.
Yeah.
It just happens that there's a technology element.
It's interesting. I was going to say, because again, Liam said on the last episode, Rome's big organisation, big institution, been going. So if you talk about startups and scale-up businesses, do you see it going that way as well? So there'll be more. So Amplify, for example.
Sure.
Were you heavily involved in the business decisions that was led by technology, or were you doing technology that influenced the business?
Yeah. To be honest, involved in lots of the business decisions. I think you need to be honest. Like you said, right? I mean, the days of being sat in a corner and being a siloed technology person away from everything else that's going on, that's just gone. Like it. Somebody said something the other day. It was something like, if you call yourself an AI-powered business, that's kind of like saying, if you're an AI-powered technology business, it's like saying you're a bakery that uses ovens or electricity or something.
Yeah.
And every company is going in this direction. Every company is using technology. So, yeah, I mean, I have thought about this a little bit since you last asked me. But basically, yeah, is the CTO role changing? Yeah, maybe it is becoming this much more business-oriented role, probably closer to the CEO role.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, you've probably answered this already, but if you were going to hire your replacement tomorrow, not that they're getting rid of you, but if you had to hire your replacement...
Is this something you know?
No. But like, yeah, what are the kind of skills you'd look for then in that person who'd replace you? Like, what makes a good CIO, CTO?
So we split the tech. If I go right back to fundamentals, I split the technology budget. I split it into... Essentially, we've got a run part of the business and then a grow part of the business. So the run element is all of my licensing costs, some of my embedded costs that you automatically carry, licenses, hardware, etc. Then we have the grow part of the business. These are all of the money that I spend on growing the scale of the organization, whether it's through our digital platforms, it's where I put all of my training people, it's where I put my capitalized resource, so all of the teams that are working on projects, etc.
Sure.
My aim is to maintain the run costs, so constantly in there challenging. I can't challenge license costs. Microsoft constantly putting up licensing costs 10-15%, as are everybody else. The only thing I can do there is manage it. It's not a management challenge, it's a macroeconomic commitment that we've got to make. But I can constantly review it and make sure that we've got the right number of licenses, the right level, etc. The growth area for me is where it really, really works. And my aim is to spend more money on grow and less money comparatively on run.
Yes.
So I think if we can do that, then that's the driver for it. And I think I've forgotten the core part of the question, but it was...
Well, so if you were going to hire your replacement, what kind of skills would you look for? But the kind of skills you're looking for there is like that growth mindset, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So that was the point. So if I'm going to invest money, I'm going to invest it in my grow area. Sure. And therefore, if I need a leader, they need to be really good at the grow.
Yeah.
And to be really good at the grow, it's not about knowing the technology anymore. You have to have a grounding in technology, and you have to keep your ear close to the ground around what's new and what's coming. But the key thing is you have to be a really good communicator, because you're not going to be able to do anything unless you can tell your story.
Sure.
Yeah.
And really be about that narrative about how are you growing and driving through. You have to be good at strategy, which is about saying, I'm not too focused on the tactical elements of what needs to happen, and I'm comfortable to let the team get on with it. Yeah. But actually, it's about saying, well, actually, in a year's time, where do I want to be going? And in turn, when I talk to my counterparts at the Mint, I try and give some distance to the conversations I'm having. So yes, inevitably, I'll talk about the website going down or a bad release. I will spend time doing that, but I want to be talking about the stuff that we're doing in 6-12 months most of the time. So, but in order for me to be able to, my replacement to be able to do that, they've got to also be really, really good at recruitment. So they have to be able to recruit the people.
Spot those skills in other people,
to allow you to do that other stuff.
Yeah.
So we've built a team, and I've been really lucky that I've worked really hard at recruitment, that I've got a team that are now growing with me.
Sure.
and therefore I've got a lot of trust in the team that I've built. My head of IT, David, is a great guy. I know that I can leave him to do the run part of the business.
Yeah.
And therefore, when my replacement will need to shift from a run mentality to a grow mentality, and I think everybody does.
Yeah, and I think it comes back to what you said earlier, right? But it's like hire people. It's a really common saying, right? But like hire people that are better than you, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I think if you can do that, then you can achieve what you just said.
Yeah, when the technical bar is set so low with me, you've got to be careful.
Yeah,
but I
be kind to yourself.
but I think the one thing I have developed, probably in the last 10 years, I would say, is I am much better at asking questions than answering them. And don't be and I'm not afraid to be the thickest guy in the room, but also I don't pretend to be anything else. I'm relatively quiet. I'm a reflector, so I like to go away and think about things. But I love asking clever people difficult questions. I think that's where you see their growth.
Yes.
And we're really lucky that we've got people. I've recruited people in the Mint, and I inherited people in the Mint that are constantly curious, that are willing to do that extra little bit of thinking, and we wouldn't have got where we were without those people. So,
but I guess you gain trust. So people with that type of mentality and allowing people to make decisions and get involved in the business, they're going to trust you more.
Yes, I think so. I think one of the challenges you have when you lead transformation is that it all becomes a little bit personal. And I do feel that a little bit now when one of my team or our work, random things like the website gets criticised. I take it bloody personally. Do you know what I mean? It's like I've worked really hard and the team have worked really hard to develop it. I think over the next couple of years, I need to start by being more strategic. It becomes a bit less personal. And I'd like to get to that point. And I'd like to think that my time at the Mint, I can leave a legacy that really shows a really great technology transformation journey, but also that I've brought people along with me. I'd be really disappointed if I had to go external to find my replacement.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to answer this in terms of talent, but I mean, look, we're all kind of passionate people here working in tech in Wales. What does Wales need to shine to grow in tech? Because one of the things, and I think you mentioned this earlier, one of the things that I really worry about in Wales is that sometimes there aren't enough interesting tech jobs, or we seem to be losing people to England or to other places. And so, like, what do we need to do to be interesting, to attract those people, to make Wales this tech hub, I guess?
Would it be controversial if I said I don't think we need to do an awful lot, but I do think there is a degree of the plucky Welshman that we need to do away with. I think we don't think that we're as good as we are. I think that's definitely true.
Yeah.
I think there is a huge amount of talent. I'd like to see a technology talent spread out with just financial services. I think we associate, particularly in Cardiff, I think we associate tech with financial services. Why? Because we've got big Lloyds, we've got Admiral, we've got lots of people that are set up and heavy employers of technology in the area. We've got a really strong fintech space.
Yeah.
But I would like to see us think of tech in Wales as more than just fintech and financial services. From my personal perspective, I'd like to see that. I think we need to utilise the universities we've got more.
Yeah.
Lots of great things going on. Like we recruit cybersecurity, particularly. We work really closely with the Cybersecurity Academy in Newport. We recruit all of my engineers, and my cybersecurity manager have graduated from there. So we recruited heavily in that area. But it takes a lot of commitment on both sides. I think big organizations tend to do it better because they've got more time and resource and dedication to do it. But I think we underutilize talent from the universities. And I always use the example of, I think I'm from Swansea, so I'm at Swansea. I always think of Swansea University, but I think I like to catch the talent. People talk about moving and migrating to Bristol or to London for the good jobs. if I can catch them on the way and borrow them for 2 or 3 years, give them loads of great experience, give them loads of training and a variety of experience, and let them go, that's a benefit to me, and it's a benefit to them. I'm okay if a dev leaves after 3 years.
Sure.
Squeeze the pips out of them and move them on. And then when they come back in 10 years with all of this experience, I'll pay them more, but use their experience when they come back. And everybody comes back to Swansea. Right?
That's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, so,
I hear that a lot. I honestly, in my world, it's like, I moved to Bristol, I moved to London because I needed a role. It's like, really? So, but where's that coming from? And I think what you're saying is, and I 100% agree, we need to shout more about it.
Yeah.
We need to talk more about stories about the Royal Mint. We need to amplify, and there's lots, FinTech Wales, obviously, there's lots going on, but it just needs to be a greater noise, and hopefully that's what this podcast is starting to do.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, and had I known you were from Swansea, I'd have been sat on that side of the table.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's about also finding different routes to talent as well. Yeah. So we've got a Network 75 apprentice on us. He's just about to finish up. I'm not sure when this podcast going out, but hopefully he would have got his permanent job with us by the time this goes out.
Note to self.
Yeah, well done, Freddie. But he's been a great talent for us, and he's sat with us for 5 years. He's been with us 2 or 3 days a week. He's walking away from university debt-free with a comp sci degree and 5 years experience.
Yeah.
I would challenge anybody not to think that's an absolutely brilliant route to go through. You know, it's very easy to, and when you get to cherry pick talent, then it's very easy to go, right, well, where's their degree? What college did they go to? What's all that stuff? Actually, you find a lot of talent from different routes and different support functions. I think if we could harness that better, then we don't need to rely necessarily on the universities to push the talent through, and also people don't need to rely on 100 grand's worth of debt to start their work in life. I think with the tooling, having the basics of understanding computer science now is gone. It's a great thing to have, and it's a luxury, and it will probably push you through your career quicker.
Sure.
But actually, nothing. These amateur bedroom devs and stuff have also got huge amounts to offer.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Some of the best developers I've ever hired, or DevOps people, have never been to university, or some of them didn't even go to college, and some of the best performers, and self-taught themselves, not even just to develop, but like the fundamentals of computer science without going to university or anything like that, just understanding all of that. So,
but the key is getting them early.
Yes.
So I would love to do more work with schools. And Cyber are doing a really good job about going out there and doing that. They've got Cyber for Girls, and they seem to be pushing the agenda much more than just normal technology. Yeah. And it's been sexy for the last couple of years, isn't it? But getting out to schools and local schools is something that's really important, particularly in the Mint's position, where we're a huge part of the local community. Recruiting from our local schools is something I'd love to do.
I think that's a really interesting point as well, because we're talking about AI, we're talking about lack of junior roles potentially. What are they thinking? What are school people, what are university graduates thinking? I can tell you, some of them call me and say, where's the jobs? What should I be doing? Should I be diversifying? But if we are talking to people at a lower age group, we can change that perception, and then that will help with hiring the right people coming as a throughput, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the difficulty becomes, though, I couldn't even tell somebody what careers and jobs are going to exist.
Someone asked me that last week.
That's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Look at all those data guys that were out there and thinking that's the future. And now a lot of them, quite rightly, are converting into AI roles and things like that. Sure. But there are a lot of data engineers out there, I think, that have spent a long time on their skills that are going.
QA going to product. I saw this week. A lot of QA are sort of starting to sort of think. You mentioned it earlier about AI doing that element to it. So that's a different landscape.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that feels like a really good point to end on. So, I mean, if we want Wales to do better, we need to shout louder, be adaptable, and invest in our youngsters as well. And try and catch them.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
No?
Yeah, thank you, Richard. It's been great to have you. And we'll see you on the next episode 3. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.